Hello, everyone, and welcome to movie flashback number 21, the first movie flashback of 2025 here at Nightglow Entertainment. I am very excited about the 10 flashbacks I will be giving you all this year. In this flashback, we are going behind the scenes of Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. Now, I didn't expect to start the movie flashbacks of 2025 with a Star Wars movie like I did last year with Star Wars Episode 1, but it just happened that way. If you are new to this channel, welcome. Click the subscribe button below for future notifications and updates. Click the like button to share this content with other movie fans. This year, we are celebrating the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. It was written and directed by George Lucas. It is the conclusion to the Star Wars prequel trilogy. It premiered at the Cannes Film Festival on May 16th, 2005, exactly today, 20 years ago. It was released in theaters May 19th, 2005, and the running time is 2 hours, 20 minutes. It had a budget of $113 million and it grossed $905 million at the box office. It became one of the highest grossing films of 2005 in the US, and it was re-released in theaters earlier this month. One of the most memorable moments for me was when Hayden Christensen, who played Anakin Skywalker, aka Darth Vader, won the award for Best Villain at the MTV Movie Awards the following year. I thought he deserved an award for his performance. When George Lucas made the sequels, the fans and the critics were harsh about the story he wrote. They criticized Christensen's acting. They criticized the supposed lack of chemistry between Christensen and Natalie Portman. But over the years, people have grown to appreciate the sequels. I went to see episode 3 with my sister, who was a teenager at the time, and I remember her being heartbroken when Anakin transitioned to the dark side. She said, "Why, Annie, why?" I remember we sat in the theater during the closing credits while people were leaving, and I was in shock by the events that took place in the film. At first, I could not process everything I saw because in the beginning of the movie, we recognize Anakin, but by the end of the first hour, at around the 60th minute, Anakin looked stressed out and weary. And I didn't understand why, in part because I only watched the movies. I never saw the Clone Wars animated series, which takes place between episode 2 and episode 3. But you do notice how Palpatine is able to seduce Anakin to the dark side, and how that I have rewatched, and now that I have rewatched the movie over the years, because I got the DVD, you understand how a government can transform from a democracy to a dictatorship. War has a way of turning life upside down. But for me, episode 3 showed Lucas's ability to tell a story that most people don't know how to tell well, and that is, how does a good child grow up to be a villain? And so by the time you get to episode 8, where Luke Skywalker tells Rey, the Jedi is a story about failure, he's right. The prophecy of the chosen one will bring balance to the Force came true. We saw that in the Return of the Jedi when Darth Vader sacrificed himself for Luke, but no one expected the prophecy to unfold the way it did. And so Luke understood that the Jedi failed Anakin. The failure started when Anakin had to leave his mother in episode 1, and no one never went back to free her from slavery. Anakin was never allowed to go back until he decided to go back in order to stop the nightmares he was having in episode 2. And then he was not allowed to fall in love with Padme and had to keep their romance a secret. Yoda tried to advise Anakin based on what he knew, but Anakin's needs got neglected because the Jedi Order was too busy fighting the Clone Wars. According to my research, Lucas spent decades working on the story of Star Wars. He started in 1973, and keep in mind, Episode 4 didn't come out until 1977. So the story of Obi-Wan dueling with Anakin before Palpatine saved his life and turned him into the Vader we saw in the first trilogy, that story was included in the novel version of The Return of the Jedi. But then Lucas decided, he realized that there were flaws in Anakin's turn to the dark side. Therefore, he rewrote Episode 3 before shooting Episode 2. There are DVD extras that came with Episode 3, and you will learn there that Anakin had several reasons to turn to the dark side. One reason was he thought the Jedi was plotting to take over the Republic, but in the end, his main reason was to save Padme's life with the advice of Palpatine. Now, I have always been a fan of the 9 Star Wars movies, the Skywalker saga. And looking back, I think George Lucas did a lot of thinking and analyzing when it came to writing plausible stories about Anakin and Luke. It makes logical sense for Anakin to turn to the dark side, and I think we can learn about human nature from watching Anakin's story. It is entertaining, the purpose is entertainment, but I think we will always go back to the Star Wars universe for some sort of truth about human nature. So, I propose a toast to the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. Today I have a bottle of Icelandic water. Um, for some strange reason, water is my best friend when I do these movie flashbacks and reviews. So, cheers. That is all for today, my friends. I will see you next time with another movie flashback and more movie reviews. Take care.